Love is a mystery. I had a historic electoral college victory. Why did Trump say he called into Fox and Friends? Think he's not a very good husband. Also, I would pay anything to know what he wrote inside that card that he definitely didn't actually get. We're like, well, because it was Melania's birthday. Like, what does that mean? He's like, honey, I've got a great celebration planned for us today. I'm gonna talk to some TV people while sitting on the toilet.
What if being completely unbothered is the ultimate weapon? Trevor Noah uncovers how Melania Trump's icy indifference might just be driving Donald Trump absolutely nuts. Does the secret to handling chaos lie in simply not caring? Stick around to discover how a single jacket and a whole lot of calm might steal the spotlight from the loudest man in the room. Quick favor before we move on. If you appreciate this content, consider giving this video a like and subscribing to the channel. Believe it or not, more than 92% of viewers haven't subscribed yet. It's free and only takes a second, but it means the world to us. So, did you subscribe already? Great, thank you so much for your support. Now, back to the video.
You watch that. Do you think maybe Melania is jealous? Maybe that's what this was about? Oh, now you want to hold hands, Donald? You sure you wouldn't rather be holding that orb? I remember when you used to touch me like the orb, Donald. Now, on the next leg of Trump's trip, which took him to the Vatican, Trump's hands really couldn't catch a break because this time, the First Lady gave him the old down low, too slow. And me and the orb was a one-time thing. The orb means nothing to me, means nothing. I was barely hard.
What if a plain olive green jacket became the most polarizing piece of clothing in recent political history? That's exactly what went down when Melania Trump stepped out wearing her now infamous, "I really don't care, do you?" She was weaponizing it. The jacket wasn't careless. It was calculated, and Trevor didn't stop there. He pointed out how Melania's quiet disinterest was a stark contrast to everything Donald Trump represented. Think about it. While Trump thrives on attention and noise, here's Melania essentially saying, in the loudest whisper possible, "Do whatever you want. I don't care." It wasn't just a jacket, it was a perfect symbol of how she operates. Silent, detached, often unnoticed, but impossible to ignore once you catch on. Digging deeper, the outrage surrounding that jacket wasn't just about insensitivity, it was also about confusion. People couldn't decide whether Melania was trolling everyone, trolling her husband, or just completely out of touch. Media analysis exploded with takes from every angle. Some thought she was directing the message at Trump himself, highlighting the ridiculousness of his actions by staying above it all. She's not loud. She doesn't need to be. She doesn't offer explanations, rebut criticisms, or even join many conversations because she doesn't have to.
If you do zoom in on that picture, there is something a little suspicious, and that is that they're holding hands. So on second thought, maybe. You watch that. Do you think maybe Melania is jealous? Maybe that's what this was about? Oh, now you want to hold hands, Donald? You sure you wouldn't rather be holding that orb? I remember when you used to touch me like the orb, Donald.
The thing that got an enormous amount of media attention had to do with Melania Trump, the First Lady, and some video. Was this an actual slap, or did she just pull her hand away?
That jacket, it might as well have been a mic drop. No further commentary needed, and that's what made everyone else so desperate to fill in the blanks. It's as if her entire existence in the public eye revolves around adopting the perfect poker face while letting the world trip over itself to figure her out. Now, here's where it gets interesting. If Melania's jacket was her way of saying she doesn't care, she might truly embody that sentiment in her day-to-day reactions, or lack thereof. Everything about her behavior screams detachment. Remember the awkward hand swats when Trump tried to hold her hand in public? Or her impassive facial expression when he's ranting about topics he just Googled 10 minutes prior? These moments reinforce the idea that, unlike her husband, Melania's superpower lies in appearing unaffected. This subtle rebellion, if that's even what it was, acted as a perfect counterweight to Trump's need for constant applause. While he fought for attention, she quietly stood back, letting his behavior magnify the absurdity of it all. And that, perhaps, is why Trump couldn't stand it. Her indifference might not just be a personality quirk, but a skill, one that creates a constant contrast between them. Just by not feeding his ego, she holds a kind of power, unbothered, unshaken, and undeniably effective. Let's be honest, Trump isn't exactly subtle with his emotions. He's a man-child with a billionaire's budget, known for throwing public tantrums that often involve Twitter rants or over-the-top gestures at a rally. When he's not calling somebody sleepy or weak, he's throwing his arms around like he's conducting an invisible orchestra of lodged complaints. Trevor Noah once compared Trump's speeches to watching a toddler pitch a fit in a grocery store. Only instead of whining about candy, it's witch hunts and CNN. It's all about performance, volume turned up to 11. Because if there's one thing Trump craves, it's validation. Whether it's a cheering crowd, a tweet going viral, or a room full of yes men, he feeds off attention like a rechargeable battery. Then there's Melania. She's the anti-Trump, a statue in heels. The uncanny stillness, the blank gaze, it's like she's carved from marble but somehow got booked for 4 years at the White House. Trevor Noah joked that she could win a posing contest with actual statues if such a thing existed. And when you put these two together, it's almost slapstick comedy. While Trump is off flailing and shouting about how wronged he is, Melania doesn't even flinch. Every perceived slight turns into a Category 5 Twitter storm, complete with insults, bizarre nicknames, and all the grace of a bull in a golden-plated china shop. Now mix that energy with Melania's complete lack of engagement, and you've got the perfect formula for a comedic power dynamic. Trevor Noah nails it when he says that Trump is like a guy desperately trying to impress someone who couldn't care less. It's the ultimate irony. The man who defines himself by attention being stuck with a wife who seems thoroughly uninterested. Trevor calls this contrast the toddler versus the statue, and honestly, it fits. Trump's whole personality screams, "Look at me." Meanwhile, Melania's existence whispers, "I'm busy not caring." And let's not forget the little moments that reinforce this contrast. Who can forget the famous hand swat seen around the world? Trump reaches for her hand like a needy kid, and Melania just brushes him off as casually as flicking away a fly. Rants. He's hypersensitive to criticism, the kind of person who can't resist taking the bait, even when it's in his best interest to stay quiet. In other words, his ego needs constant feeding. But here comes Melania, the kryptonite to his Superman complex, and she doesn't even need to argue or insult to throw him off balance. All she has to do is nothing. Noah humorously puts it best. Melania's indifference is like a cheat code that breaks Trump's entire operating system. The thing is, this isn't just a funny quirk of their marriage, it's also a bit of a power play. While Trump frantically fights to control every narrative, Melania stays detached, unbothered by whatever chaos swirls around them. It gets under his skin in a way that shouting or arguing never could. The more she ignores him, the more he seems to spiral. Noah theorizes that, in the chaotic world of Trump's life, Melania's cool composure might be her ultimate weapon. She doesn't fuel his fire, she extinguishes it without saying a word. That's what drives him mad. This dynamic isn't just funny, it's fascinating. It flips the typical power struggle in their relationship on its head. Trump might be loud, but Melania's silence is louder. And with that, you can't help but wonder, is this just her personality, or does she know exactly what she's doing? Could Melania's calm indifference be her ultimate survival strategy in the chaos of the Trump White House? To outsiders, it might seem like nothing more than a personality quirk. She's cool, she's quiet, she seems like she's thinking about literally anything other than being in the same room as Donald Trump. But Trevor Noah's analysis suggests otherwise, framing her apparent lack of interest as a calculated move, one that might actually be her secret weapon. First, it's crucial to understand just how chaotic Trump's administration was. It wasn't just a mess. It was the kind of mess you'd expect if you handed a toddler a can of paint and told them to redecorate. With constant staff turnover, public scandals, legal investigations, and daily media scrutiny, the Trump White House functioned like a political tornado. The sheer volume of drama could chew up and spit out anyone in its path. And in the middle of all that mayhem, there was Melania, calm, statuesque, and somehow completely unbothered. In a house of chaos, she remained a figure of almost eerie composure, making her stand out in a way no one expected. Let's rewind to one of her few public actions that shattered that serene image for a brief moment. You can't help but wonder if staying quiet most of the time is her way of keeping the spotlight ready for the moments that matter. Another example of Melania's indifference? Her reaction to one of the most bizarre conspiracy theories to emerge during her time as First Lady, the fake Melania rumor. According to this theory, Melania occasionally sent out a body double to attend public events on her behalf. A ridiculous claim, but one that gained traction online. The internet had a field day with side-by-side photos of Melania, claiming differences in her smile or posture as proof. And what was Melania's response? Absolutely nothing. She didn't defend herself, she didn't deny it, she didn't even acknowledge it. It was as if the theory didn't exist. And honestly, that might have been the best possible move. By refusing to dignify it with a reaction, she let the rumor burn out on its own. Compare that to Trump's approach. Had it been about him, he'd still be yelling about it on Truth Social. Noah joked that Trump's need for attention is like plants needing sunlight, and Melania refusing to react might be the thing that drives him nuts. The more he amps up, the less she seems to care. And in Trump's world, there's no greater insult than indifference. But here's where it goes beyond personal dynamics. This kind of composure isn't just a personality trait, it's an underrated political tool. In politics, appearing calm and unmoved often communicates strength. Leaders who stay composed during crises are perceived as in control, even when everything is falling apart behind the scenes. Melania's consistent detachment sends a powerful message. It says, you can speculate, you can scream, you can analyze my every move, but you'll never get a reaction. And that approach works. The more people try to figure her out, the more enigmatic she becomes, and the more attention she gets without even trying. It's this almost Zen-like ability to remain unaffected that leads many to believe Melania's indifference might not be so passive after all. What if it's less of a reaction and more of a strategy? In a space dominated by loud voices and constant drama, Melania's silence becomes a stark contrast. It forces people to lean in, to try to decode what little she reveals, or doesn't. Whether it's the jacket, the body language, or the choice to stay quiet during Trump's many outbursts. While he fights, Melania waits. While he demands applause, she offers silence. It's a power dynamic that flips their public personas upside down, and that's where her brilliance lies. If this is a strategy, and not just indifference, it's working. She navigates the political noise by not engaging at all, making waves simply by refusing to wade into the water. Staying calm lets the chaos amplify itself. Whether she's a quiet mastermind or simply uninterested, her ability to project an image of control redefines what influence looks like in such a turbulent household. Compared to Trump's need for constant affirmation, Melania's silence feels like control disguised as detachment. Maybe she doesn't need to fight for attention, because in the end, everyone's already looking her way. Sometimes the loudest weapon in a household built on noise is silence. Trevor Noah's take on Melania Trump's indifference paints it as something deeper than a personality quirk. It's a quiet power move. While Donald desperately courts attention with rallies, rants, and rage tweets, Melania seems to say more by doing nothing at all. It's almost as if her refusal to engage is her way of flipping the spotlight. Could this calm defiance, this refusal to play the game, be the ultimate strategy in chaotic times? Maybe her silence isn't weakness, but the sharpest message of all. And honestly, isn't that genius?